I was heading northeast to an old nuclear bunker called Salvation.
People mean danger. No good will come of it.
Flesh eaters?
We are talking about the science fiction B-movie Atomic Apocalypse, which is also known as Black Flowers. And this one is directed and written by Martin Gooch and stars Krista DeMille and Andrea Sweeney Blanco. And the movie focuses on this family initially at the beginning of what seemingly looks like World War III. The nukes are going off. Then it quickly cuts to, it's roughly 2 years later, and it focuses on this family that are trying to survive in the wilderness, trying to avoid people that have gone native ultimately. And then they pick up this this guy who is out seemingly on his own and unintentionally kind of wound him, and they sort of bond and he sort of joins the group, but he may have malicious intent, and it really focuses on the journey of these people to try and find a safe haven. What will happen? You'll have to check out the movie for yourself. So let's first of all talk about what works. So I was actually quite impressed with some of the set design here and the cinematography. Obviously this is a lower budget movie, so I was pleasantly surprised when I saw some of the attention to detail in regards to the visual representation of this kind of particular world. There's some really nice wide angle shots kind of showing devastated sort of built up urban areas, you know, wrecks of certain things, and it really looks like they have done a good job making set designs, map paintings, whatever they've kind of done to really kind of sell the fact that this is a kind of a post-apocalyptic era. The inclusion of actually these black flowers themselves, which I think was a neat idea. And this is like these flowers that seem to be cropping up after the nuclear apocalypse, which play a kind of a minor role in the movie. And it's one kind of just minor little detail that I felt was quite good. You know, just they're not OTT. You're not seeing severely kind of mutated monsters and things like that, but you have these kind of weird new strain of flowers which seem to have come up from the radiation, which may well have properties that may be good or bad depending on how you look at it. This will also harken back to the classic days of the post-apocalyptic movies. Obviously Mad Max will kind of spring to mind, but there's plenty of nods to all of those films in that genre, with plenty of the staples that you would have seen: cannibals, weird religious cults, people who have just kind of lost it and are absolutely bonkers, just wanting to, praying for death ultimately. So they're all there. And I quite like the inclusion of this this kind of end of the world cult where they just want to party until they drop dead, which I thought was quite fun. What doesn't work for me? For me, I feel the acting of this movie was not fantastic. We have this four characters: the father, the mother, a young-ish kind of daughter. I mean, she looks around about 20, and then this guy who they kind of pick up. And I felt some of the acting from pretty much everyone wasn't fantastic among those kind of four characters. Also, there's a little bit of lack of attention to just the way the characters look. So they've done a good job of having this world look, you know, with some good sort of shots. But I felt the characters themselves looked just like it was like the day after. For example, the mother, who is our main character really, still has kind of blonde highlights 2 years after this apparent, you know, apocalypse. The father is quite a big guy and he's obviously hasn't lost any kind of weight. Things like this. No one really looks malnourished or dirty. I also question the amount of lush greenery that is around. I mean, the whole point of this movie, its original title, Black Flowers, I suppose, is that there is, you know, vegetation, but it just seems a little bit much. Obviously, we're used to, in post-apocalyptic movies, seeing lots of kind of desert wasteland. And here it doesn't really appear to have affected it that much. We have more or less kind of wildlife as it was. And we don't really know much about why people have devolved so much in this movie. They just have. I mean, fair enough, you've got to accept it for a post-nuke movie, I suppose. The thing that kind of struck me the most about this movie, though, was the real lack of plot. Because it's just these people going from one place to another without any real movie plot or narrative to speak of. They're just in hope of finding some type of sanctuary, and they meet various individuals along the way. And I was tempted to say there's a lack of an antagonist. There is an antagonist, but the antagonist is masked as a friend, at least in the movie's characters, for a long time. But he may as well be having a t-shirt that says "bad guy" on it, and the kind of a mustache that he would have been twirling. He's so obviously, he does nothing, in my opinion, that would make him our kind of characters believe he was a good guy. He always seems to be some type of asshole, and I question why the characters are so willing just to kind of go along with what he says and not going to question his motivations, especially when he's acting really shifty in literally every interaction they have. It's just bizarre. It makes you kind of feel less sympathetic for our central characters because this guy is so obviously not on the up and up. It annoys you that these characters just don't see it and don't react to it. So therefore you have less sympathy ultimately when it bites them in the ass. The movie seems to just be an excuse to go from one location to another without any real direction in regards to narrative. The whole plot about just finding some safe haven that's literally it. I mean, there's just an excuse to find various camps of people, have a small kind of interaction, move on to the next. And a lot of these interactions seem very superficial and don't really lead to anything much. The movie also has a very bizarre ending, I have to say. Overall, it's a fairly slow moving. It's Mad Max at a walking pace is the best way I'd describe it. It's a fairly slow and not exciting post-apocalyptic movie. There are some elements here that I do think work and are certainly, if you're interested in the post-apocalyptic movies, you'll see a few homages to, like I said, things. So that's kind of fun. And I did like some of the visual displays here, but overall the movie itself wasn't particularly interesting. The characters weren't particularly captivating, and they were portrayed, I feel, with not great acting, if you want my honest opinion. So I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10, and I actually think that's quite generous, because this movie was a little bit boring, to be honest with you, but I will give it a 5 out of 10, because I do feel there's enough here to kind of maybe sort of give it to that mark. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.